thank Hero and the organising committee for inviting me to speak at this session this morning. I hope you're enjoying the conference. It's been very well organised, and our thanks go to the organising committee in particular. My talk is a little bit broader than the first two talks this morning. I'm going to be talking generally about practice, instruction, and skill acquisition in football. More specifically, I aim to do three things. Firstly, what I'll do is outline the importance of practice in regards to developing elite players. We all know that practice is important, but sometimes we can be quite surprised when we look at the sheer quantity of practice hours that elite performers accumulate over their careers in the sport. It's not just the amount of practice that is important, of course, but also the quality of practice. So I'll secondly talk about some of the key practice variables and types of practice activities that I think seem to be important in differentiating players and progress to professional level within sport and golf. And then finally I'll talk about some of the practical implications as far as coaching sessions and developing more effective practice and training opportunities for players to develop the skills at the elite level. We start off first and foremost therefore by looking at practice history profiles of elite players. The earliest data in team sport was actually gathered by a colleague at the University of Leuven in Belgium, Werner Elsen. So what he did, he used questionnaires, semi-structured interviews and training notes to begin to look at the practice history profiles of three groups of soccer players in Belgium. So there were international, national, all professional players. So what we have on the left-hand side here is the total cumulative practice hours, both in terms of years across the career and in regards to chronological age. Clearly what you can see here is that the international players accumulate considerably more practice than their national and provincial counterparts. The important issue is that by the age of 23, 18 years into a career, the international players have accumulated almost 10,000 hours of practice within a particular sport. I'll also draw your attention here, if you look at, let's say, the age of 16, you see that the elite level players in Belgium here have accumulated around 5,000 hours of practice. I'll come on to that a little bit later, but remember this data was gathered in the mid-1990s. There were also attempts to begin to look at the microstructure of practice, the smaller graphs on the right-hand side here. Talk about the amount of hours accumulated in individual practice. The international players accumulated more hours in individual practice early on in their development, and more hours in team practice later on in their development. This is some more recent data that we gathered around 2005, so 10 years on, using groups of Premier League academy players in England, which are the elite players. These are from 3 clubs in the northwest of England. Some elite players were good quality players who represented their local schools. So what you can see here is that by the age of 16, the Premier League academy players have accumulated 7,000 hours. So maybe this illustrates in essence the advent of the Premier League academies in 1997 and the fact that the players have more systematic access to coaches, which has in essence increased the number of practice hours. If you put it into context, if you have a 6-year-old boy in England that would like to become a professional player, what does it take? Well, in essence, they have to be involved in the sport for 9 to 10 years. Roughly works out at around 850 hours of practice per year. 18 hours of practice per week, roughly split into 9 hours of that in coach-led practice and about 9 hours of non-coach-led practice. So around 7,500 hours of practice by the age of 16. Huge commitment, huge investment in sport. What we don't have, I'm afraid, is comparable data across any other coaches of football. I'm unaware that we have a small amount of data from Gaelic football, which suggests that the hours are high, but nowhere near as high as they are in soccer. But unfortunately, this kind of approach and method has not been used across any other coaches. Interestingly, when we also asked the players to rate the factors that they thought most important in relation to becoming skilled players, the elite group put practice at the top. In silver medal position was motivation, the desire to win, the attitude, the dedication, the determination, and enjoyment was third on the list of things that they considered to be important in becoming a professional player. In contrast, the sub-elite players attributed a lot of their ability to progress to skill, albeit practice was second and teamwork was third. So there's a real realization here that engagement in practice on behalf of the academy players is crucial in order to progress within the sport. What is important here, of course, is that it's not the mere accumulation of experience that is important. And what is important is the number of hours that are actually accumulated in what's called deliberate practice activity. Deliberate practice activity is specific training activity where feedback is given, where there is opportunity to engage in trial and error learning and to refine and to progress. So typically deliberate practice requires athletes to have high concentration, high motivation, to be very mentally and physically engaged in the task. The key issue is that this is a graph from Anders Ericsson, and one of the key arguments that he would say is this is a typical graph of performance against experience. Most of us in terms of everyday skills goes through three stages of development: cognitive, associative, and then into the autonomous stage. What he says is that those at the elite level actually end up in a very scientific phase where they don't spend a lot of time thinking about the activity, whereas in contrast, true experts strive to avoid the concept of activity. So they actually continually engage in deliberate practice activity in an effort to improve the refined performance of the task. Okay, so roughly around 10,000 hours of practice are needed to become an elite soccer player. As I said at the start, it's not just the quantity of it, it's also the quality. So most recently what we're going to do is to look at the microstructure of practice, the fine detail of practice in relation to the activities in which these players are engaging. In one study that we completed a few years ago, what we did is we identified three groups of players from three Premier League academies. So what we had is two groups of Premier League academies. These players joined the academies at 6. They progressed through the academy to the age of 16. Some of them were released by the club, which is our release group here, in red. Some of them were offered a 3-year professional contract. So they still became professionals of the club. Our recreation control group here is a group of school-based players, again, in the northwest of England. And what we have here is the proportion of hours spent in coach-led, individual and team practice over the last 4 years prior to the decision to retain or release. So this would be age 13, so 12, 13, 13, 14, 14, 15, 15, 16, you're in and you're out. And these are hours per week in individual practice and team practice. Not surprisingly then, you see there are no differences between the players who progress to professional status and those who don't. And that clearly because they systematically engage in the training program of the academy players spend considerably more hours in coach-led activity compared to their recreational counterparts. The most interesting data came in this graph. So this was the proportion of hours spent in non-coach-led practice activity outside of the academy environment. So here again we've got the hours per week across the last 4 years prior to the decision to retain or release. The players who eventually become professional spend around 9 hours per week in this type of activity. So this in essence would be street football, playing with their friends, kicking the ball against the wall, anything that did not occur formally within the academy environment. In contrast, then, apparently equally skilled players who were also in the academy only spent around 3 hours per week in this type of time. Most recently we've extended this study. We've now got 5 Premier League clubs involved. Our sample is getting bigger. As the clubs release the players, they go into a release sample. Obviously, as they're offered professional contracts, they go into our professional group. This is the same data from the 5 Premier League academies for the years 6 to 12 now. A very similar trend emerges. So what you can see here is that the players who eventually become professional at the age of 16 have accumulated almost 3 times the amount of hours in street football related activity than the players who progressively have not had professional contract. So it seems that this engagement in non-cultural activity is obviously important in relation to the players. I guess the interesting question is, do professional players progress because they just spend more time in practice, the accumulation of coach-led and non-coach-led activity, or is it something about the nature of this player-related activity that is important, in the sense perhaps that it gives the opportunity for players to engage technical, decision-making skills in an integrated and dynamic environment. It's very much a discovery-led environment where players have to adapt and learn to solve those particular problems. You could spin the question round, of course, and I'll try and answer this issue with some data, of asking the question,